Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Plat. Purplatypus is the name, and we are back with Magic the Gathering Arena. Now, today we're playing Mardu Knights. You've probably seen a few lists of this going around. It's not the most popular, honestly, in the meta, but it's definitely a theme that is pushed in the new set. Tons of Knight support. And although it's honestly, I don't think it's like tier 1 by any means. I've been really surprised by this list that I put together. I've seen, when it's tribal decks, like a lot of the decks are going to run pretty similar because you're going to, go up to the search bar, type in Knight, and, and there's only so many things you can get. But you have, there's a lot of options and colors and stuff, but obviously Mardu seems to be what they're pushing because of the new Tournament Grounds land, which can tap for red, white, or black, but you can only spend the mana to cast a Knight or equipment spell. So this card alone is one of the reasons why the deck's even remotely viable, because the land is just brutal otherwise. And honestly, the mana is one of the issues that I'm still tinkering with a little bit. I have been looking at some of the rare lands, especially the red one here. Point is, the land is something you might want to mess with a little bit. The red land that creates a 1/1 is okay, but I meant the other one, the one that you could tap for. Or tap 4 essentially, and give all your creatures +1/+0. But that's not really the highlight of the deck. This is something I'm still kind of working on, but the rest of the list I think is pretty well put together for a best of 1 format. So we're running 12 1-drops in this deck. This is an aggro deck through and through. There is more of a mid-rangey, there are more mid-rangey lists out there. They just feel to me kind of weak. They feel a little too slow to deal with Cavalcade because you don't really have like life gain or things like that. And it feels it doesn't feel fast enough just in general. It's like it's too slow for Cavalcade and it's too slow to like get underneath and win before all the board sweeps are coming through. So I wanted to go way lower to the ground with our top end being 3 mana and essentially like even less. So we're running 12 1-drops. Obviously, like one of every color, which seems crazy, right? But it's not that hard with the Tournament Grounds. It's pretty easy to get what you want. We have a lot of sources of each kind. So honestly, these are all pretty exchangeable for whatever you want to play. Knight of the Ebon Legion is probably the most unaggressive of our 1-drops. So if you have a choice between the Knight, the Fervent Champion, and Ebon Legion, you have all of them in your hand. Typically, this is the one you're going to want to hold on to and not play first. On top of it having better late game potential, and you don't want it to just get shocked right away, it also is the least aggressive and does the least amount of damage in the the set amount of turns. But really, the cards that I think are standout cards are obviously the build around card, Inspiring Veteran. This card, Stormfist Crusader, is really vital to the deck. I feel a 2-mana 2/2 Menace is not phenomenal, but it usually gets in for damage. Obviously, Menace makes it incredibly difficult to block, especially when it's attacking this early into the game. But that drawing an extra card and each player loses a life, it's kind of like that Rankle effect, right? So it does an extra point of reach, so it's kind of like it's a 3/2, not in the way it trades, but it kind of, when it hits, it'll kind of hit for 3 because it already hit for 1 that turn before. And then you and your opponent will draw a card, but the idea is like our cards are all 2 mana and like 2-3 mana and less. We can very easily dump our hands and just be in this top deck mode, and that really lets us utilize these cards better than our opponent. It might help them get to an answer faster, but likely they already had an answer, or they're just going to have a bunch of cards and not going to be able to use them all, but while we're just like we're continuing to pressure. We're also running Worthy Knight and Corpse Knight. Corpse Knight I don't see make that many lists, but I honestly, even though Corpse Knight's not the most aggressive card, it's kind of there as, it's honestly a card that I think we should probably run 3 of, maybe 2 of. It's definitely more situational. But it's been pretty good as 4 of, because there's a lot of, in aggro matchups, like Cavalcade, a 2/2 is kind of like a good enough body to block most things. But in a lot of these like green decks where they have Okos, they're creating 3/3s, or they're just creating bigger things than us, and we can't get through. They have a lot of the Grazers, 0/3 blockers, Gooses, 0/2 blockers, and we can't, it's hard to actually get through to deal damage. Having things like Corpse Knight in combination with Worthy Knight have been really good. Just like being able to drain their life through non-combat damage, I've found incredibly useful in a lot of games. And obviously Corpse Knight, you have this guy, and it's kind of clunky to have a Worthy Knight and a Corpse Knight in your hand, because obviously Worthy Knight, whenever you cast a Knight spell, you create a 1/1 human creature token, which is really good. And they obviously work really well together when they're both on the board, because you cast a Knight spell, you get 1 damage from the Corpse Knight, then you create a 1/1, you get another damage off the Corpse Knight. So by playing a Night spell, you get a 1/1 and 2 damage to their face, which is good. But when you have them both in your hand, it's like, which one do you play first? Because if you play the Worthy Knight and then the Corpse Knight, then you're not getting the Corpse Knight damage. You play the Corpse Knight and the Worthy Knight, then you're not getting the 1/1. So they are kind of clunky together, despite working together so well once they're both on the field. But I think I found it kind of important in a lot of these decks that have good, decent-sized blockers to have some sort of non-combat damage to really help us seal the deal. And Smitten Swordmaster fits right into that slot. You gain X life. We're looking at the adventure side here. The 2 mana, 2/1 lifelink Human Knight is fine. You know, it synergizes with a lot of our deck, what we have going on, but that's not really what you're doing. It's really for this sorcery. You gain X life, and each opponent loses X life, where X is the number of knights you control. This is very, very easy to drop on turn 3, where you get to play a 2 mana guy. You have a Worthy Knight out, you just play, I don't know, a Stormfist Crusader. You could play this, you could easily get like 3-4 damage out of this. Sometimes you can get crazy and get 5 if they're really not interacting with you, but by the time you're getting 5 damage off this, you probably already had lethal from attacking, or like you didn't need that much damage from it. A lot of times it's just 3 or 4 damage for 1 mana, which is just that little bit of reach that I found super useful. In fact, I found it useful enough where if I had 2 of these in my hand, 3 of these in my hand, and I only had 3 creatures on the battlefield, I'm like, dude, this is still awesome. It's like 6 damage. It's a ton of reach. It's surprisingly potent for a card that I think on the surface seems like it might not be phenomenal. But in this really, really low to the ground variant, I think it's a phenomenal card. And sometimes, that 2/1 lifelink is relevant. Sometimes you do need the life because you're shocking yourself a lot with these lands to make sure you're getting your plays out. Now, I think the only non-knight creature in the entire deck, yeah, if I'm looking here, the only non-knight creature here is Tajik, Legion's Edge. But this card has been around, obviously for a while, and I'm telling you, this card is so fucking good on turn 3. Every single time I played this card on turn 3, it was a huge swing turn, because people aren't playing around it, because they're just not seeing it, like, ever, anywhere. But on turn 3, you're attacking with a hasted 3/2, and every other card in the deck gets mentored by it, right? It's very frequent. You get a mentor, a Fevered Champion or whatever. Fervent Champion, sorry, I should actually read the card. Then you have a 2/2 first strike, and then a 3/2, and on top of whatever your 2-drop was, and sometimes you get Corpse Knight value and this and this. It comes in, it deals so much damage. The Mentor is relevant, the 3 damage is relevant, and I'm telling you, you're gonna see clips of people not reading this card. The prevent all non-combat damage that would be dealt to other creatures you control is very, very, very good in a lot of matchups, and no one fucking reads it. I'm telling you. 2 games, like, in a row. They might have been separated by 1 game. I play Tajik, I attack. They untap, and then they Lava Coil my Fervent Champion. And it just, it deals 4 damage, prevents all the damage. It doesn't do anything. Now, the Ogre could still get through because it's non-preventable damage. But, like, Shocks, Lava Coils, Gates Ablaze, the other one that's a 2 damage sweeper, right? None of that affects any of your stuff. So it's very, very relevant text, and people always forget about it. Also, people tend to forget that you can give it first strike for 2 mana. You're not doing that a lot because it usually is dying, even on the turn it attacks. But even if it dies on the turn it attacks, it's still getting in for some damage because of that Mentor. Really, I think a card that I haven't really seen it in a lot of these Mardu decks, Mardu Knights, because it's not a Knight itself, but I just feel it slots in so perfectly with what the deck's trying to do. And obviously, we have the Knight payoff cards here. We're running 2 of each, and honestly, they've been super... The Circle of Loyalty is the one that's been a little bit weaker. It's been tough to get 4 Knights on the field. It's just been tough to cast. This double white has actually been a little bit brutal. It might require me messing with the mana source a bit more, but it's an artifact, not an equipment, so it does not work with the tournament grounds, whereas the Embercleave does work with the tournament grounds, so this has 4 less sources of white that you're working with to cast it. And it's not saying it's impossible to cast. It's you can cast it frequently, but it's really hard to cast this and something else in the same turn, because you have it's a bit clunky, but it is really, really powerful. Obviously, against control decks, this does give you a 2/2 every single turn, and that 2/2 is actually a 3/3. So it's a very good card. But I think a 2 of is proper. A lot of times it comes down to a double white Inspiring Veteran that's just harder to remove. And everything else doesn't usually. The rest of the text, besides the +1/+1, is usually not super relevant. But, +1/+1 having a stacking effect is still really good. Embercleave, on the other hand, this card just wins games. This card should probably, I think both Tajik and Embercleave could probably go up to 3 in a slot, because I don't think I've ever drawn either of them and had them be bad. Dropping 2 Corpse Knights for one of each of these, I think, is probably what I would make a change to after playing all these games. Because Corpse Knight is not always as impactful as I want, but these cards are always just like huge swing. And I know they're on our upper end, but it's very, very common that Embercleave comes down and it just costs 2 mana. Having 4 attacking creatures, and Embercleave is not at all a Knight specific card. I know I said it's like a Knight payoff, but it's really, it doesn't synergize with Knights other in the sense that it's in the colors and this is an aggro deck. But it costs 1 less for each attacking creature you control, which is very easy when you have Worthy Knight, and you just have a, you know, obviously we have 12 1-drops. It's pretty easy to have 4 attacking creatures. And it has Flash, and it can enters the battlefield, it attaches to any creature, and it gives it +1/+1, double strike, and trample. This thing is just completely, usually it's lethal. If it's not lethal, it completely causes them to lose whatever their blockers were. You know, sometimes they'll stack block, you could just destroy it both. You could attack a planeswalker, you know, with one thing that's not lethal, but they'll block it. You just slap this on it, kill the planeswalker when they weren't expecting you to be able to. It's super powerful card, and it's frequently 2 red mana at instant speed that can also be used with your tournament grounds. Now, I'm sorry, I'm rambling on too long, but honestly, I'm not sure if this deck is like tier 1. Cavalcade is probably, like a Nuts draw on Cavalcade is probably better than a Nuts draw on this. Because you don't have a lot of ways to interact with your opponent's board other than through combat damage or like an Embercleave occasionally. Typically, you're just going balls to the wall, trying to, you know, it's like fuck you aggro is kind of like what the archetype could be called, right? Like that's our game plan, start to finish. We don't have a plan B. But in best of 1, it works pretty frequently. I was actually surprised at how resilient this deck can be when you're playing, you know, if you have knowledge of the matchups. If you're going up against, you know, anything with like a turn 5 board clear, against time wipes, against things like that, try to play around them. But even if they get it off, it's pretty, like, I was surprised at how quickly, if you have a Worthy Knight in your hand or something, you know, you hold back a threat, you could just get another board really fast and keep the pressure up. Pretty damn good deck. I've been impressed with it. I'm definitely going to use it to rank up more on ladder. I'll probably use it to get the platinum this season. Maybe even push it further. We'll see. But guys, if you like the deck list is in the description. You could catch me live on Twitch. I stream Monday through Friday. I do Magic. I do some variety as well, but Magic is definitely a staple. And I'm going to get the hell out of here. I hope you guys enjoy the clips. Peace out. Let's go. Win every card in Standard. We're already at 11 wins. We just need that last one. You guys will never see my record, so it doesn't matter. The fact that I'm currently at 0 wins and 1 loss means nothing. Ooh, sounds like laundry might be done. This is good. We have no way to ever play that Embercleave, but we also have a bunch of very powerful 1-drops. And the 2/1's probably just better. It's a good attacker because we get to play a 1-drop behind it. Double 1-drop, honestly. And even if he blocks it, we get to move that counter, which is pretty damn good. They did not drop that counter. We are missing all the white sources for that guy, unfortunately. But you know what? 1-drops, baby. We had enough 1-drop action that I felt like this was worth keeping. Mono green. Probably gonna food deck. But with mono green, you can't run Oko, obviously. So maybe it's green blue and they're missing their blue. Maybe it's just rampy. One white source would be really nice. Or, you know, I guess even a red source in this case would be great. We are going to do this to get the extra. We need the damage to get the counters on these guys. Even though maybe you can get more value later, it's unlikely. We just need the... We need these guys to have counters. Getting 2 land is not that bad, but... Unfortunately, we're unable to play our Inspiring Veteran. But if we could play Inspiring Veteran next turn, I think we have a good chance. That is quite nice for us. This isn't equipment, actually. Inspiring Veteran is no way as good as just having an Embercleave. Okay. Go and throw that on this buddy right here. He's at 2. Let's go. Get him, Knights. Knights, baby. Embercleave. That card is so fucking huge for this deck. I actually forgot that the Mardu lands can tap to play equipment. That is very, very important for Embercleave, requiring double red in a 3-color deck. So thank you, Tribal Land. I appreciate it. For Platypus versus Twilight Effect. You know what? I think that name's right. Feels like a metaphor. I don't know what it means. Aren't we all Twilight Effects deep down? Oh, whoa. The cat is so much lamer than the fox. But what does the fox say? I have a hard time not keeping this. This is a hand I wouldn't normally keep because we have no 1-drops, right? But I just, you know, when I'm recording a video, I'm just like, this is the time to shine. Who needs a 1-drop when you got cool? When you got cool stuff? I will say no 1-drops going second. Probably not ideal against ooh, that's a pretty fantastic card, though. For our commander. They probably want to draw cards more than I do, so. Like, I have plenty of plays for a long time. Man, Goblin Electromancer is so good. You don't see it around that much. I did have a deck based around it when I started MTGA. It was just the 1000-Year Storm deck and a counter burn deck where you... Well, I had 2 different ones, but yeah, one of them was just Goblin Electromancer, and all your counters were 2 mana. Just counter everything they have for the rest of the time. You're gonna shock it or something, right? That's like totally fine with me, by the way. Okay, Discovery. They're drawing cards and surveilling. They're probably trying to get Phoenixes to the graveyard. They put an Opt in the graveyard. Seems kind of weird if that's like the whole point of their deck is to draw cards. Ah, they got their Phoenix back turn 2. No, that's pretty nuts. No, that's fine. We actually have more damage than you do, though, bro. We could play Embercleave next turn. Grab him. Shoot him. Kaboot him. Good one. Do you know that Tajik prevents all non-combat damage to my other creatures? I think you might not have known that. You look at this. He's got like his cat all the way leveled up. Never read that Goro card. What the fuck is it? He's never read the card. Anyway, that's the point. Tajik. Man, that's good. That does not happen every day. You can mute your opponent's emotes. Thank God. I really wish they had better, like, one of the things that I wish this game had was like Hearthstone-esque emotes where the voice and stuff. Like Hearthstone is like, I don't like it as much as a game as much as I like Magic, but like visually and just the way the game looks and feels and how easy it is to understand by looking at it, like they do a lot right, even though I don't think the core game is inherently that fun for me personally. A lot of people love Hearthstone. But then again, like one of my issues is I just don't like I played Hearthstone for quite a while, but after like 2 years, I felt like all the decks were just kind of the same. Like I never really felt like anything was ever changing. But why am I talking about Hearthstone when I play Magic? You know, because fuck you. Because you know what? I like card games. Ooh, a more aggressive. Well, you know what? I fucked that up. But you know what? I was like, oh, a more aggressive 1-drop. Let's do that. The only issue is there's no way to do these 2 cards well together. No matter which one you play, in other, you're losing value on one of them. Oh, you know what? It's actually, that was pretty good to play first, huh? Now what do we play, though? Corpse Knight into double 1-drop next turn, or Worthy Knight? Oop. I feel like these cards fill the same role a little too much. I think either run Worthy Knight or run Corpse Knight. They obviously work well together once they're both in the field, but if they're not both in the field, they're not doing anything. You're gonna play your 4-3, right? Yes. That is what I expected. I won't lie, they work. It's feeling kind of good right now, though. You know, that's not bad. If I get an Inspiring Veteran down next turn, we got our attack on our hands. What are you gonna do here? Are you land screwed, or are you just not playing your land yet? Another Bone Crusher Giant? I mean, hey, I gotta say, that's the weird one in my opinion. The other two are definitely generating more value, but maybe you obviously don't have a board clear. You might have two of the Giants, though. The Giant is, like, one of my favorite cards of the new set. It's just so powerful. If you're playing red... Oh, and a 1/1 counter. That's fucking brutal. Damn. You attack? You attack. No blocks. I'm okay. Thank you, though. This is actually a great blocker, though. But do I play Inspiring? I always play Inspiring Veteran, but do I play the Commander or the Knight? I don't know. Depends if I'm gonna block or not, huh? I think I just play this out. I'm planning to take the 5 right now. If they attack, but I'm thinking they're low enough where they may not attack. They may just want to put up another defender. They only have to have 3 points of damage, though, which is kind of scary, because this is going to deal me 1 damage. Okay. They have another Domri. Playing creatures and stuff. That's cool. Oh, baby! Oh, baby! Let's go. That's lethal just right there. I don't even have to attack for lethal. Good game. Fuck yeah. Sorry. Ooh, the synergies. Let's go. Gold tier 2? That's the highest gold tier that they have, other than gold tier and everything above the other tiers, you know, but... You know, ignore that. We're basically pros now. I beat Nox at a game one time at a streamer event when he got a terrible hand and I got a great hand, all right? That makes me a top-level player.